just marking up the front end. I did show a video before. This is what I've come up with. I'm not going to come off of the original perch. I'm going to make a new one lower down so that the leaf spring looks more parallel. I could put it up there, but I don't like it at an angle. It's not quite how I want it. So I'm going to put it there so they're more in parallel, just to look nice. So basically, if I can get in here and get focused, I've got a bit of a to look like a stock beam. Got the H bar in, and then a post. And this pole's got bushes, and then the bushes have got a solid bar inside, and the solid bar will rotate, and then the rotation goes to the semi-elliptic springs, obviously the other way up, and then that goes to the bar, goes to the I-beam at the front. So I've got my springs in the centre of this bar. I'm going to put an adjuster, similar like a Volkswagen Beetle adjuster, just a normal one, and then I can set the angle that this sits at, and therefore the height of the car. Not too complicated, looks like a Beetle, all Beetle setup. The only difference is that instead of that being the spring, this is being the spring. I'm just adding half a leaf spring on the front. I'll chop it down a bit later on, and then I'll get it fixed to here with a shackle, like U-bolts I've still got to get. But set of U-bolts onto there, bracket underneath, bracket on top, make it look oldie schooly, just like this one. And then I've started to make the perch for the front, which I'm going to fit into there. I'll make it so that it fits really nice into there, and then make it look like it's a part of that if you want, but just with similar to that, but just down a lot lower. Make everything look nicer, I think. Got a lot of measuring up to do to get this bob in the middle where I want it, and then get it all welded together, get the centre point marked out, and then get the adjuster fitted. This bar does come back out quite easily, so I'll be able to get all that fitted, get it drilled and get it put in. Not necessarily today, but soon. Well, that's my front end. Front end's be finished in soon enough, and then the back end's finished. I've got to start on the other side and then finish things like the bonnets and stuff. But loads still to do, but just at least I can get it on 4 wheels at right height and all the suspension working. On to the next. See you soon. Back in the garage again. I've put together a front beam, nice and simple. Top beams, plastic bushes in it there. They're a poly, whatever they are, poly ones. And I've got the adjuster now for the centre. I've got the uprights in. The pins will go quite a bit further in. Now I've got to put some washers on them. Mine's a bit narrow, but made some brackets up today. Quite simple, and they just go on there, and the spring goes between them, which is quite difficult to do one-handed. I'll put them in place and then show you what they look like. I've still got to do front perches, but I'll get this little bit assembled and then we'll go from there. You can see it's in place now. As you're going along the road, that'll go up and down, but I fix the centre point with an adjuster there, So that's fixed, which means this bar doesn't go anywhere, and then the spring does all the work of your suspension, so that's cool. And then when I want to slam it on the floor, all I've got to do is move that adjuster around just like a normal Beetle. Move the adjuster down on the floor, it goes. The only difference between mine and a normal Beetle is inside here you've normally got your spring, but all I've done is replace that spring with a through bar, and then this is going to do my spring once it's attached to the front. I've got a bit of measuring to do to make sure I've got clearance here, and then I'll make that one, bolt it in place, and then make this side and get that one bolted in place. Once I've got those in place, I can decide the height here, decide the actual ride height, and then get that put in place. Get it welded, put a pilot hole through, take the whole thing apart again, and then drill and tap that bar, put it back together, and it's done. Next job on the list, done. And then next job on the list is to get the steering rack in, get the steering arm out, and get that connected to the, well, get the pitman connected to the steering at front. So little bit to do. I don't know if I'll get it all done tonight, there might be another video, but I'll get this bit done now and put it back together, and then I'll try and get that pilot hole made. I've got to put it back on the floor because at the moment it's quite high, so I'll get the front end completely slammed out on the floor, and then I'll put my pilot hole in. Then I'll know how much twist I can give it to get it off the floor, and etc, etc. Right, get on with it. Well, I've laid it all the way on the floor, so frame head's touching the deck, and I've double checked end to centre, put some engineer's blue on, otherwise known as black marker pen, marked where I want my adjuster, and then because this is on the deck, that's the bottom of its travel, so as the suspension goes down, it lifts the body up or pushes the suspension down. The bolt goes that way down, so the slot needs to go down, and then I'll cut this, drill it and slot all of that, put M12 thread into that beam. I've got another bush made out of the same material as this, which is going to go inside there with a corresponding slot in it, so that when I do that up, I pull against the bush. I'm not pulling against a gap, so when I do that up nice and tight, it should stay where it is, obviously with a top plate on it, which I think's all M12. I don't think you can go much bigger than that. If I can go to 14, I'll put 14 in, but I think it's M12. So my next job then is to slot this out, get the hole in there drilled all the way out, and get it threaded so that can go on. I've also, on these plates, drilled a hole here so that I can put a pin in there which will positively locate the spring, so the spring can't come out. I can got double up on these nuts to fix them in place, and then with that and a double up on that nut as well, the spring's located, centered and fixed, so it won't come out. That's my front end design. So as I adjust it down, it's going to press on the axle, lifting the body up in the air, and that'll set my height. I can either dig grooves in the tarmac or give myself 4 inches of driving, and then I can drive to work in it without hitting the floor everywhere. Just gonna finish marking the beam out, take it off, drill it, cut it, and then I should see it together today before I go home. strip the beam back down, took out the plugs, do some welding on it, so had to take out both plugs, both ends. That's what they look like. Got to put the one in the centre, but I can't put the one in the centre till I've welded, so I'll get the welding done first, hammer that into the centre, and then I'll cut it to match that slot, and that slot is to match the adjuster, which I'll get all welded up, get it centered, get it all welded up. I'll do that now, actually do that next. And then with the plastic in the center, the poly bush, there won't be any movement in this direction coming up, so I can bolt that up nice and tight, and that's the front end. I'll probably get this finished tonight. I'll put a bit more effort in and show you it done. Right, it's not fitted on the car, but there you go. It's all cut up, bolted up. All bolted up. Drilling through the springs was a piece of piss. I thought it might be difficult, but it weren't too bad. This is now fully adjustable. All we need to do is undo this, set the height of the car, do that back up again, and that's the front end set to whatever height you want. Just bolted up. It looks like a little mini bracket that you get on the back of a Volkswagen Caddy or something like that. I quite like the look of that. I'm happy. So with it all painted up and whatnot, should look cool. Just gonna hang on a sec. I'll just put it back in the vice a sec, it's much easier. So that's the fully down, sorry, fully up position, and then fully down. And I've just had a quick measurement from where one was to the other. It's about 14 inches. I've got about 14 inches of travel on the front. I can't see me using 4 or 5 of that, but it just happens that that's the amount of movement you've got there, a bit of angle. So I can set that anywhere I want, and then the spring will do all the work. So 14 inches of movement. That's basically the front end done. There's no more work to do on it. I've got to get some shackles, and then I'm looking for Model T spring perches. I don't know if I'm going to find any or whether I've got to make something, but next little bit of the kit to find. So Model T spring perches, please, if anyone's got any. That's it, going home.